Hi everyone, and welcome to a quite quick one. I actually record on my phone because no time whatsoever. But I lost the video last week, so I want to do one today, just to give you some footage. And actually, I want to talk about the thing that's keeping me away from recording that video, which you might hear in the background. Uh, we have a visit of my nephew, who's 11 years old, and um, now I realize what you're going through if you have kids in very different ages. I mean, sort of. We already have the situation that we have this half-year-old and this close to 3-year-old, which is really demanding in terms of what you do with them. You have to keep the one to get her sleep, and the other one wants to be entertained, and stuff like that. And the older one behaves in a certain way if you realize you're distracted by his sister and stuff. And even though my nephew's only on his vacation here, he just spent some days with us, which is awesome, and he's a really nice guy. But it's getting way more demanding if you have someone at home who has completely different needs. And I take my hat off to everyone having 3 kids, all kids with really, really different ages. And as always, I want to have a conclusion for you out there who are pregnant or looking forward to get children or need an advice. And my advice, and this might be just me, or it might be your solution as well. I'm a big believer in planning and planning ahead and knowing what to do. I'm sort of making my head around what we're gonna do with my nephew since last week or 2 weeks before. I started thinking what can we do to arrange stuff and to get him entertained, to get my son entertained, and all that thing. And I think it turns out well. Um, Even though we ran into the situation that my son is really interested in my nephew, so he wants to spend more time with my nephew, so with his cousin, so it's a bit tricky to get into the daycare where we wanted to have him because of a different story. Anyway, yeah, as I said, I'm a big believer in planning and having ideas what to do, and I always figure that if if I don't know what to do next, um, I ran into problems of all sorts, being that someone gets bored or and my detail of planning even goes to things like eating. I try to have a rough schedule in my head for days like that. I don't mean the regular basis, but even even there is a plan because it's always repeating, and I think that it's helping your family life to have repetitive pattern in your day and not being too flexible in sort of being flexible. Always be flexible, but have your have the times where you eat, have strict time where you wake up, where you go to bed, when you go to bed, and have fixed timings there, and work everything else around. Coming back to the video of our vacation where we went camping, even there we had a schedule, even though it's established over the first 2 days, and it didn't have long because we went home after 5 days. But anyway, we got up, we had breakfast, we spent some time, had lunch, went away, spent the time, had dinner, spent some time, went to bed. So there was this repetitive pattern which can help you as a parent to have an idea what's going on at which time, and if you plan so that your children are a big part in that plan. So for example, if you know you have a baby and this baby needs to be fed every 2 hours or every 1.5 hour or whatsoever, and this is part of your structure, of your plan, of your schedule, however you want to call it, you don't run into the situation that you are in a completely inappropriate place and it's not working at all to feed your baby, and you have a crying baby around, which annoys you even more. Even though, as I say this, there are situations I could plan even more, but I don't. For example, we went shopping just a few hours ago to IKEA, and I know that my baby girl is crying in the car. She still does since we're back on holiday. It's a nightmare to drive with her. And one day we said, okay, we have to plan when we drive somewhere so that she sleeps or she falls asleep. And we completely ignored it. We just went when we thought, okay, the time is right, let's go. So we're all finished. Breakfast is done. Everybody's awake. Everything's fine. Let's go there. Without planning anything. It turned out well, but you could have gone into more details and even planned stuff like that. So what I want to tell you with this video is having the visit of my dear nephew, who I really like, and it's awesome. But I realized how tricky it is to have even more kids, and I take my hat off, and I find the conclusion to not being stressed as fuck is to have a schedule, to have a plan, to plan ahead, to make up your mind what you're gonna do, when you're gonna do it, and try to stick to a pattern which doesn't necessarily help your kids. I mean, it's great to have a repetitive pattern for kids, because that way you can establish sort of pattern in their day, so they will fall asleep a bit more easy if you go to bed at the same time and stuff like that. But it also helps you as a parent to have some sort of safe haven. I sometimes find myself in being stressed on a situation. Like, for example, we drove in the car and it was Elizabeth was crying and some guy drove a bit unfriendly and I was really stressed. But knowing what's coming next and being able to rely on that next step in the schedule helps to get over that situation, because it's something completely different and you know it's gonna happen. And it's not like, what do I have to do next? It's clear what you're gonna do next, even though we now changed plans and stuff. Can be part of doing plans, that you change plans. I hope you get what I want to tell you. I hope this 10-minute ramble, which I really just flew out of my head was sort of interesting for you. I try to make better content over the next few days. I still need to do the video about Elizabeth's birth, and still have some other topics I wanna cover, and yeah, gonna do this the next few days. Hopefully, I have some time to shoot some videos and keep you guys updated. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you like the stuff I and my wife are doing. So if you do, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and I'm always happy to read some nice comments about topics you'd like to get from a father of a close to 3-year-old and half-year-old girl. So let me know what you want me to talk about. Thanks ever so much for watching. See you next week, I hope. Bye bye.